Show nowadays. There it goes. Clock. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm John Miglosh for the WDMA. We're going to be talking about surprise today. It's kind of standing out. Can you think of anybody that stands out? What is the deal here? We get all these calls at 10 o'clock on the dot. I don't know what happened lately. I hope it was someone asking about their direct mail program or their direct marketing, how to establish a testing control and an environment where you really know what's working, because that's what you need in a recession or in any other time too, because it gets you more budget. Everybody wins, And the reason I'm so high on it is because I think direct mail probably will win. Most of the time it does. And it doesn't mean that's the only thing you can do, but foundationally, it's the best research tool because we know who got the message, who engaged, and who bought and who didn't buy. And that's the kind of labeled data set you can use for machine learning. But before I go any further, the Bucky Badgers won last night. I couldn't believe it. They played Oregon, who's missing a few starters, granted, but I definitely thought Oregon was the better team for a while. Every time Wisconsin tried to shoot in the paint, they got the shots blocked. Sometimes two guys at once blocked them. But they just kept hanging in there, and they were only shooting like 26% in the second half. But they were down, they were down by 7 with about 3 minutes to play, and all of a sudden their shots started dropping, and boop, they won. So they're in the Final Four of the NIT, which is, they're still playing. Only Michigan State is still playing, and I don't think they're going to be going much further. Farther is distance, generally, if you really want to know. I've messed up. Now, where's that? Oh, I don't know where it's coming here. I guess when I switch over, it'll go over here. I was supposed to have this up in the beginning. The date is fixed down below. It's the 28th, not the 38th of March. There is no 38th of March. And I understand now that the email didn't have any date on it unless you allowed it to show you the animated illustration. But it's next Tuesday. I sent a lot of people individual personalized invitations, and those didn't have the date in it either. I'm not that good at digital, you have to understand. And so it's next Tuesday, 3 o'clock. We have some really big heavy hitters coming. A lot of people said they were, on vacation or busy or whatever. Well, we do our best. But it's going to be a lot of fun. And we always learn a lot for some reason. I don't know why. So get over to WDMA.org. It's real easy. And in the upper right, there's a little box that looks a little kind of Eastery colors, pastel colors, and you click on that and you register, and we send you an email, but it doesn't really have anything in it. It's just acknowledging that you are registered. The save the date link and the Zoom link are on the registration page. So before you get to your registration, you can put the date in your calendar just like that. That's how it works. So wonderful news. Everything's going. Let's move on with this. Let's start the show. Bye. Here we go. Okay, that seems to be it over here. Bushmills. Bushmills, I don't think I've ever tried Bushmills, or if I did, it wasn't very memorable. I don't know if you have. That's their commercial. I don't know. That I couldn't remember the name after watching it several times, so that's probably not a good sign for the commercial. And I didn't see the ad for it before. I don't drink much whiskey on St. Patrick's Day. I didn't even have a beer. I think I went to church. St. Patrick, a good guy. Good guy. Okay, so let's get to the next story. How do we do that? Oh, we turn this off. Okay, and here's the backstory of it from Fern Siegel. And Bushmills whiskey pokes fun at the herd mentality. So it's got these sheep. And actually, this might have been a better shot for the commercial. You don't really get this going in there with the sheep putting their noses into the camera. Jameson, Johnny Walker's, Jim Beam, and somebody else said, you know, you don't have to drink that whiskey. You can drink Bushmills whiskey. I don't even know if I've heard of it. The brand is over 400 years old, the world's oldest licensed whiskey, and they took a bunch of sheep into a tavern. J-Mo, Jim Beam, Jack Daniels, and Johnny Walker. And it's the fourth most popular brand in the U.S. Man, yeah, I've never heard of it. Anyway, so I think they got some distance to go. Kara Coyle, creative director at Mechanism, told the agency, on the biggest whiskey holiday of the year, we wanted to remind consumers just because everyone else is ordering a JMO doesn't mean you have to as well. Try something more original instead. Okay, so you know, I don't know. I guess she works at the agency that made the commercial. So I would say not my favorite commercial. I haven't tried the whiskey. Okay, books are burning in a good way. The Hustle. This is a shot of a Barnes & Noble. I thought all the Barnes & Nobles closed. I think the one by me closed. Maybe I just, you know, I had that anecdotal evidence. I thought they were all closed, but apparently they went bankrupt and were bought out of bankruptcy by a UK investment company that also owns a big bookstore in the UK. The once disappearing bookstore business is showing signs of a comeback. Book sales rebounded in a big way post-pandemic, with the U.S. publishers reeling in $29.3 billion in 2021. Don't know if that's big or small. Though early 2022 data suggests a slight dip, bookstores remain in expansion mode. Throughout the 2010s, most stories about the chain included the word embattled, as Amazon picked off business. Now, Barnes & Noble expects to open 30 new stores this year, per NPR. Okay? Credit hedge fund owner Elliott Management Corp., also behind top UK bookseller Waterstones, bought the debt-laden Barnes & Noble in 2019. Okay? So refocusing away from trinket sales, they gave local stores more autonomy over displays and welcomed influencers. I always like to go to the part where they had the discount books, and you can buy these beautiful coffee table books for like $10, and they're just you know, the history of sailing ships or something, the history of railroads. I have a few of those. Love them. They're just beautiful. Of course, they're on a bookshelf now, but they were on the coffee table for a while. Sales grew 4% last year, and lest you are a fan worried about the You've Got Mail Fox Books situation, where a big bookstore moved in next to a little independent and put them out of business. It all worked out. It was a happy ending. The number of independent bookstores is also on the rise. Okay, so independent bookstores. Last year, 334 independent bookstores opened in the U.S. Of the 25 best-selling books of 2022, male authors just got 10 spots. Colleen Hoover took as many slots on her own, selling 14 million books last year. Okay, so she almost got all. So it's women reading books. My wife is in a book club. I'm in a book club too, but we watch an 8-minute video summary from David Baer. I encourage you, write me about that, or look up David Baer on LinkedIn, or Ken Cook, who's registered for the WDMA meetup. Ken Cook and David Baer put on this weekly book club, and we don't have to read any books. And it's really thoughtful. I mean, we have a bunch of marketing people on there. It's worth the time. It's every Thursday at 3 p.m. Central. I'm not sure what that would be Eastern, I guess 4. Okay, women are buying 80% of the novels. I'm not a big novel reader, I admit. In the 1970s, female authors accounted for 20% of all books. In 2020, their share surpassed 50%. Good for you. Help your direct mail stand out. Okay, this is from Summer Gould. This is the second to the last in her installments on how to do great mail. And here's a list of the previous versions. And today we're going to discuss creating standout direct mail marketing. So I don't know if Summer's taken a course or something. She's got all these scientific things in her articles. The von Rushtorff effect is the human's tendency to notice and recall things that stand out. You ever drive to Florida or something and you just don't remember the whole trip? Except for maybe that police officer in Georgia that you had to talk with. Good direct mail campaigns break through the clutter. You can strategically use this to drive better direct mail results. Okay, so I wanted to tell you about my friend Chuck Hajinian. I don't know if he's on LinkedIn or not, but he was a dentist and he's a notable artist. And we were friends in college. And he went to dental school. And so my dentist, my dentist was talking about retiring for years, decades. I went to him since I was like 4 years old or 3 years old. And I was now in my 20s, so 20 some years. But he would tell me he wanted to close down and retire. And so Chuck, I was borrowing a friend's dental office after hours. So you had to go in after hours, which was convenient for me. And he said, I'm looking for a practice to buy. And so I told him about my old dentist, and that got him going, and he bought the practice. And so he called me up and he said, well, how do I do marketing for this? And I said, well, almost anything in the neighborhood will get you started. And so Chuck, like I said, is very creative. And so he drew a picture of a chicken, big chicken on an 8.5 by 11, like maybe a buff piece of buff paper, and the headline read, "Are you chicken?" And then it had a paragraph or so about painless dentistry, and come drop in and he'll look you over. And he hired some neighborhood kids to put it on the doorknobs. He didn't even pay the postage. Now you could do every door direct mail, probably less expensively than even hiring the neighbor kids. But anyway, he got like 40 or 50 new customers. It was a great success, great ROI. But I'll never forget the Chuck's Chicken. That's what I got it highlighted here. Chuck's Chicken offer. Are you chicken? Painless dentistry. I don't know where he got the idea. Sometimes clients are better than the consultants. But the other point is that if you've got a puzzle, I'll be happy to talk it over with you. Probably you'll solve it yourself. Consultants rarely solve any problems. And if you didn't already suspect that, now you know. Now you got it from the horse's mouth. Okay, so people go through their mail on autopilot. So your use of size, shape, color, and images will impact how different or how distinct your piece is. We got a piece of mail. I haven't even looked at it yet. We got a piece of mail last week, and it was handwritten, but it had like a stamped return address, and the whole letter was handwritten. And it was from a woman not in like Brookfield, and she was talking about how she wanted to move into our school district. It's renowned in the state, and she never can find anybody who's selling the house, or they're already sold before she gets to them. So she wondered if we were interested in selling, and so I'm gonna have to call her back. But it did stand out. It's sitting on the counter, and I'm not sure if it's really a woman with a couple of kids, or if it's some really, really clever, creative and printing. But I could probably tell if I looked at it closely. Anyway, create curiosity by providing no hint of what's inside the envelope. That was kind of the way she did it. That's the way I did it with my email for WDMA, not on purpose. No idea what the date is? Well, click on it. And we got about the same open rate as we always do. I haven't looked. The click rate it wasn't, you all know me, it's coming from me. So anyway, you can stand out in many different ways. Standing out is just to get noticed, though, is not enough. It's not enough to just get noticed. You got to get it connected with your offer or your product or whatever. Okay? My list broker is going to call at 1:45, so I have to prepare my mind for that. Okay, that's what all these beepy noises are. Basically, you want to get noticed, be relevant, and make your point to get them to buy. Bandage. This is really good stuff. Thank you, Summer. She's got examples today. Last week, she didn't have as many examples, and it was hard for me to visualize what she was talking about in those psychological concepts. Bandage. Does your product or service solve a big problem? Okay. So add a bandage to the outside of your mail. I don't know if I've ever seen that. I've seen them in the inside. Add a bandage to the outside of your mail piece to let people know they can stop using the bandage and start really fixing the problem. I would think the Postal Service wouldn't like the bandage. Is it just printed on there, or is it actually a Band-Aid stuck on there? I think it might fall off in the mail. Brown bag. Does your product or service save time? If so, put it in a brown paper bag to show them that they are doomed to eat lunch at the desk until they switch to your product or service and have time to go out. Save time, or you save money. You'll have enough money to go out for lunch. Does your product, I like this one too. I forgot to take my Tums this morning. That eggs, I love those eggs, but they give me a little bit of, I put a lot of pepper on them. Does your product or service finish something? If so, put a ribbon with a bow on your invitation for them to join the finished club. Really good. This is another piece I like. People are hardwired to predict what will happen next. I'm always telling my wife, you don't know what's going to happen next. She always says, well, this is going to happen, and then this is going to happen, and then this is going to happen, and then we'll all be homeless or something. I said, you don't know what's going to happen next. You don't know what I'm thinking. I'm thinking the opposite of whatever you say. I try to keep her humble that way, but she really does figure a lot of stuff out. Anyway, people are hardwired to predict what will happen next, so that's why she does that. I told her that. She says, see, you should be nicer to me. Look for ways to break out of the normal direct mail approach. Consider black and white design if it plays well with your message. Make the option you want them to choose a bigger font, bolder, or a different color. Excellent idea. Offer 3 choices, but show them the one you want them to pick. We used to do that with pick a card, any card, You fan them out and you shove one out a little more, and most of the time people will pick that one, and you already then know what card they picked. That's a good one. My dad taught me that stuff. Sleight of hand is the essence of marketing. Make sure your call to action has a lot of white space around it so that it's easy to read and as well as stand out. I'm not a big fan of white space, but Summer says so. Now, the thing is, she gets down here and she says, think of all this stuff so that you can decide what's best. That's not the way, unlike Summer, I say, pick something else, pick your 2 best and test them against each other and see what happens. I have to mail enough to get a decent, or at least hand them out to friends and say, which one do you think is, which one would make you want to buy more? Do something to test, okay? But the best way is to try one thing, establish a control, and then try to beat it and mail against it every time. Vic Hunter, my mentor, said, always test something. So now you know the secret of direct marketing. Always test something. Another great article from Summer. What am I going to do? This is her second to the last one, she said. In our final article, we'll discuss direct mail timing. I don't know what the timing is on that article, but I did want to say this was from Brand United. And along with the email announcing Summer's latest article, this one, they said they're pulling the plug on Brand United. I never really liked the term or the name, but I remember before that they owned Target Marketing, which was at least gave a nod to direct marketing, and then they sold that to Adweek, and that then became performance marketing, and that's pretty much dried up. Almost no new articles. And so now the new kid on the block, Brand United, was supposed to take the place of target marketing. Now it's going away. So the only place to get any decent direct marketing news is right here, folks. Like and share. We need more viewers. We need more subscribers. And join the WDMA and support direct marketing. We may be the only place left to support. Have a great day. Get over to WDMA and register.